Hey, beautiful souls. Welcome to Signals and Standards with Suzie, the show where we decode mixed messages, raise the bar, and serve up real talk with a side of empowerment. I'm your host, Suzie, your go-to for truth bombs, clarity, and the kind of tough love that gets you unstuck and back in the driver's seat of your life. Together, let's turn those signals into action. Welcome to Signals and Standards with Suzie, the show where we decode the mixed messages, raise the bar, and serve up real talk with a side of empowerment. I'm your host, Suzie, your go-to voice for truth bombs, clarity, and the kind of tough love that gets you unstuck and unapologetically back in the driver's seat of your life. Today's episode, it's a good one. It's called The Reframe. We'll be turning rejection into redirection. Yeah, rejection sucks. I know from lots and lots of experience. Trust me on this one. Whether it's the job you didn't get, the date that ghosted, being rejected by who you thought was your soulmate, or even the friend who vanished when you needed them most. Yeah, I've been there. But here's the twist. What if that no was actually a divine yes in disguise? What if it was a blessing? Today, we're flipping the script on rejection, breaking down the psychology behind it, why it hurts so much, and how to transform it into fuel for your next big adventure. You'll hear listener questions, some Suzie-style wisdom, and of course, your empowerment challenge to take with you for the week. So grab your drink of choice, crank up the volume, and let's reframe that no into your next powerful move. Because you know what? You are never being rejected. You are being rerouted to something, so much better. So let's do this. Let's not sugarcoat it. Rejection hits where it hurts. Our ego, our dreams, our sense of self-worth. But here's something I want you to remember. Rejection is not proof of your inadequacy. It's proof of your redirection and growth. We've all heard that rejection is protection. Okay, sure, but let's go deeper than that. Did you know that psychologically, rejection activates the same brain regions as physical pain? Yup, it's true. Research from UCLA shows that rejection activates the same part of your brain that lights up when you feel physical pain, like stubbing your toe or burning your hand. That's why it doesn't just hurt emotionally, it literally physically hurts. Now, here's where it becomes truly powerful. Because your brain is always hungry for answers and meaning, it doesn't just register pain. It starts creating a story. You start saying to yourself that they didn't want me because I wasn't enough, or even, I'll never get a chance at that. I blew it. And right there, my friends, is the trap. It's not the rejection that destroys us. It's the story or the narrative we attach to the rejection. I've said many times before that rejection doesn't mean you're unworthy. It means that a particular situation, that specific person, that certain opportunity wasn't aligned with the version of you that you're becoming. Think of rejection like a GPS rerouting you. The destination hasn't disappeared. You're just being shown a different road to get there. And sometimes that road is smoother than the one you were fighting to stay on. That's the reframe. That's growth. That, my friends, is empowerment. How? Well, that person who ghosted you, maybe they didn't see your value, but that doesn't devalue you. That job you didn't get? Perhaps it looked terrific, but the burnout would have buried you and the supervisors wouldn't have cared. That romantic interest who wasn't ready? That wasn't your loss. That was liberation from a dead-end and time-wasting relationship. You see, when someone says no, they may be rejecting the version of you that was not a right fit for them. Maybe they were even blinded by your light. And thank goodness for that, because the people and opportunities that are meant for you, they won't be scared away by your awesomeness. They'll mirror it back and make you shine brighter. It's true, believe me. I know from experience. I fell a lot of times before I learned this lesson and started making better choices for myself. Rejection doesn't have to be a dead end. It can actually be a turning point. Psychologists often point out that rejection is often the spark for growth, transformation, and self-discovery. What feels like a closed door can actually be the universe nudging you towards a better aligned chapter of your life. Sometimes the no you hear is just the wake-up call you didn't know you needed. A lot of this comes down to perspective, though. Rejection isn't proof of failure, as we've mentioned. It's a redirection. By choosing to view it as a course correction instead of a personal flaw, you build emotional agility, the kind of resilience that lets you bounce forward, not just back. This mindset shift doesn't mean ignoring the sting. It means choosing to interpret it in a way that fuels you instead of draining you. And when you look at it through the mindfulness lens, rejection can even be a blessing in disguise. It frees you to realign with your true path. Let go of what no longer serves you and step outside your comfort zone in ways that grow your self-esteem and compassion. The point isn't just to cope with rejection. It's to consciously use it as momentum. Because sometimes what feels like a loss is actually life-clearing space for what you really deserve. And let's talk about identity. Do others' opinions of you shape how you see yourself? When we tie our self-worth to external validation, to things like being chosen, being accepted, being promoted, even being adored, rejection digs really deep into those feelings of unworthiness. But when your value is internal and your validation comes from within, rejection becomes a form of feedback, a learning opportunity, if you will. You learn from your experience and take what you need from it and throw the rest. As author Sylvester McNutt put it, rejection is simply redirection to the version of you that won't beg to be chosen. It's the version of you that doesn't need other people's validation. So here's the thing. You're not going to be everyone's cup of tea or first choice. And that's okay. It's actually a blessing. It's true. Because you're not meant for everyone. And not everyone is meant for you. You reject people too, right? You're meant actually for alignment with the right people in your life. And really, who doesn't want that? Think about it. I have a challenge for you. Think back to a time when rejection felt like the end of the world. We've all been there. Friendships, maybe dating, maybe work, whatever it is. We've all been there. And it hurts, I know. So think back to that time. Now, zoom out. What did it push you toward instead? Did it end up opening a door you wouldn't have walked through otherwise? Hold that memory for a second. Feel what it taught you. And let the rhythm lock it in. Because next, we're diving into powerful listener questions that take today's theme even deeper. And trust me, you don't want to miss it. Why? Because I'll be turning rejection into redirection and setbacks into stepping stones. Remember, anytime you have any questions, you can contact me at powercoachsuzie.com. So let's get started. Here's the first question. I got ghosted after 3 great dates. I thought we had a connection. What did I do wrong? Let me stop you right there. With love, but also with clarity. You're asking the wrong question. It's not what did I do wrong? It's why am I making someone else's disappearance about my value? You didn't get ghosted because you lacked something. You were ghosted because they lacked courage, capacity, and maybe even clarity. It's a them problem, not a you problem. Sometimes people connect with the idea of someone, not the reality. They're intrigued, attracted, curious. But when things start to require vulnerability, consistency, realness, or even depth, they check out. Not because you did something wrong, but because they hit their limit. This is true of serial daters and those who love those early relationship highs, but are unwilling or unable to follow through. I call them relationship teases. I've definitely had my fair share of those. So here's the truth I need you to take in deeply. Ghosting isn't about your worth. It's about their bandwidth. It's a them thing, not a you thing, even if it feels like you're being rejected. We've been conditioned to believe that rejection is a mirror, that if someone walks away, it must mean we weren't enough. But that's emotional conditioning, not emotional truth. Ghosting is emotional immaturity disguised as silence. And silence isn't neutral. It's a signal. It says, I don't have the tools or the intention to engage with you at the level you deserve. Now, okay, I get it. 3 great dates feel like momentum. You got a taste of connection and then nothing. It's jarring. It's absolutely frustrating. But instead of letting that silence fill you with self-doubt, what if you used it as a filter? Ask yourself, did this person truly show up with intention or just charm and charisma? Were they emotionally available or just momentarily engaged? Did they disappear because you were too much or because they weren't ready for something real? Or maybe whatever it was that they were wanting from you, they got and then moved on to the next. Here's what I tell my clients. Ghosting is a form of information. It's not closure, but it's clarity. If you're willing to see it for what it is. The truth is, someone who disappears without explanation isn't capable of the kind of communication and commitment required in a healthy relationship. And that, my friends, is a redirection, not a rejection. I know it hurts. I get it. I've been there. But I also know this. Even if it doesn't feel like it at the time, sometimes silence is a blessing. But of course, it usually comes in the worst moments, right? And when people remove themselves from your life without warning or reason, they're doing you a massive favor because you no longer have to waste your emotional energy trying to fit into a connection that was never going to hold you long term. One of the most powerful reframes you can hold on to is this. Their disappearance didn't diminish you. It revealed them. So stop trying to make sense of someone who refused to offer you the decency of honesty. Stop giving them more mental energy than they deserve. Your work is to heal whatever makes you think that their absence means anything about your worth. Let their silence fuel your upgrade. You shouldn't spend your energy chasing clarity from someone who wasn't brave enough to offer it. You rise, you release, and you remember who you are. Because you were never too much, they were not enough. And guess what? You're no longer available for people who whisper potential but run from presence. The ghost isn't the loss. The ghost is the lesson. Work hard to learn, deal with it, and then let it go. And move toward the connections that don't disappear when it gets real. Now for our second question. How do I stop taking rejection personally? The $1,000,000 question, and one that speaks to so many of us. The truth is, we've been taught to see rejection as a reflection of our value, Like someone else's no means we're not lovable or we're not good enough or we're not worthy. But that's just not unfair. It's untrue. Let's reframe this. Rejection isn't about your identity, it's about alignment. Psychologist Guy Winch wrote that we often confuse rejection of our performance or compatibility as rejection of our entire being. So we let it define us. And that confusion, that's where the pain multiplies. Think of it this way. When a puzzle piece doesn't fit, we don't question the value of the piece. We understand it's not the right match. But when it comes to people and relationships, we internalize that misalignment as a flaw in ourselves. The puzzle piece doesn't fit because there's something wrong with the piece. There's nothing wrong with us. Not that it just doesn't fit. That's the trap. So how do you stop taking it personally? Hard as it is, you start by understanding this. Not being chosen by someone doesn't mean you're lacking. It means you weren't aligned with what they were capable of receiving, of giving, or recognizing. And that's not rejection. That's redirection. That's a reroute towards someone or something that can meet you where you are. Here's a grounding practice I give my clients, and you can try this too, every time rejection creeps in. So change the story. Write this down as a mantra. This didn't work out for me, but it's not against me. Because rejection isn't something that's happening to you. It's something that's shaping you. You're not being punished. You're being refined. Don't define your entire being by the rejection. Step 2, you want to turn emotion into information or a lesson. So ask yourself, what did I learn from this experience? Not about them, but about me. What did I learn? What did this show me about my needs, my values, and my non-negotiables? What part of me felt unworthy in this moment? And what would it look like to meet that part with compassion instead of criticism? How did this experience reveal what I still need to heal, release, or reinforce within myself? That is how we stop making rejection personal and start making it purposeful. Because here's something powerful to remember. People can only meet you as deeply as they've met themselves. And if someone couldn't recognize your worth or rise to meet your energy, that doesn't mean you're unworthy. It means they're unavailable, emotionally, mentally, or spiritually. And you can't fix that, nor should you try. Remember, it's a them problem, not a you problem. When we take rejection personally, we start editing ourselves, shrinking, shape-shifting, chasing approval. But here's the truth. You don't need to become more lovable or more pliant. You need to remember that love isn't earned through a performance. It's experienced through presence and alignment. Let their no remind you that not everything you desire is equipped to hold you. And that's not a loss. It's actually grace. So the next time you feel rejected, I want you to say this out loud. I'm not going to assign personal failure to someone else's inability to receive me. Because rejection you're taking personally might actually be the universe's way of saying, there's something better, there's something bigger, more aligned, but you need to let go to make room. It's like emptying a drawer of your old clothes to make room for new, better ones. Ones that fit better and maybe a little nicer. You're not being rejected. You're being redirected towards your next elevation. And the people, opportunities, and spaces that are for you, they won't question your worth. They'll reflect it back to you loudly. So no, you're not too much. You're just done being treated like you're not enough. And that, my friend, is the most powerful shift of all. All right, this brings us to our third and final question. Lately, I'm always the one reaching out, checking in, and making plans. My friend says they're just busy, but it's starting to feel one-sided. Am I expecting too much? Let me tell you something that might sting a little, but it will set you free. You're not asking for too much. You're just asking the wrong person. Friendship at its core is an energetic exchange of emotions. It's a shared space, mutual support, a pattern of showing up. Maybe not perfectly, but definitely consistently. And when you're the only one doing the reaching, planning, checking, and giving, that's not friendship. That's emotional labor in a loyalty costume. Let's talk psychology for a second. According to Dr. John Cacioppo, a leading researcher in social connection, feeling emotionally neglected, even in platonic relationships, can trigger the same stress responses in the brain as physical pain. Something we spoke of earlier. Why? Because our brains are wired for belonging. When you repeatedly extend yourself and receive minimal effort in return, your internal system interprets it as a disconnection. Not just inconvenience, disconnection. And does it ever hurt? So no, you're not needy for noticing that something feels off. You're just aware and tuned in. And that awareness is your cue to pause and ask, is this a friendship or is this a one-sided commitment? Now, I'm not saying to end it over some difficulties. Life does get busy and real friends give each other grace. But there's a difference between grace and someone emotionally ghosting you. If busy becomes the default consistent excuse without any effort to reconnect, check in, or say, I miss you, what you're receiving is not friendship. And let me be very clear about this. You're not just someone's emotional pit stop. You are not their back burner. You deserve to be met with the same energy you give. Not 24/7 availability, but presence, intention, effort. So here's your reframe. Instead of asking, am I expecting too much? Ask, why am I accepting so little? You're not hard to love. You've just gotten used to carrying the full weight of relationships that should have been shared. And eventually, that load becomes too heavy. Not because you're weak, but because you were never meant to carry it alone. Here's what I want you to do. Pull back with purpose. Not to punish, but just to observe. Let the silence reveal who comes looking for you when you're no longer the one doing all the reaching. Replace the guilt of stepping back with the peace that comes with realignment. If they value you, they'll notice your absence and they'll respond. If they don't, then maybe you just made space for the wrong kind of friends who don't value your presence in their lives in any real way. Because here's the truth. Friendship is not built on obligation. It's built on mutual respect and recognition. And if someone keeps asking for your understanding, but never offers theirs in return, in the way that you need it, that's not the kind of person you want to be around. And that is your pattern. And you, my dear, are allowed to outgrow patterns that keep you underfed and overextended. You're not dramatic. You're not too much. You're just done performing closeness with people who don't show up. And sometimes two people just aren't compatible as friends anymore. And that's okay. We outgrow friendships sometimes. It happens. Your friendship should feel like a soft place to land, not another space where you're performing for acceptance. When you start treating yourself with respect, watch how quickly the energy around you shifts. I want you to sit with this for a moment. Are you holding on to someone who's already slipping away? Convincing yourself their silence is temporary? That their distance is really just a phase? Are you calling inconsistency potential because it feels safer than facing the truth? But here's the hard reality. A little tough love. That slow drip of mixed signals, it really isn't hope. It's rejection wearing a mask. And while you're busy waiting for those little breadcrumbs, what's really being taken from you isn't just precious time. It's your peace, your clarity, and the wide open space where something genuine can actually grow. So ask yourself, is clinging to uncertainty worth sacrificing the love, respect, and stability that you deserve? Up next, I'm sharing a real moment from a client session that snapped this really into sharp focus. A story that just might be the reframe you need. Stay close. These moments are powerful because they're not just stories, they're reflections of what so many of us go through. Chances are you'll hear a piece of yourself in them. So let's dive into today's moment, one that connects directly to our theme and just might give you the fresh perspective you didn't even know you needed. I had a client say something to me once that hit hard. They said, I keep chasing the people who reject me. It's like I need to prove that I'm worthy, or I'm a glutton for punishment. Sound familiar? As we dug deeper, what came out was something a lot of us don't realize until we're really deep in it. She wasn't chasing them. She was chasing the feeling she got when she felt chosen. That rush of acceptance, that little voice that whispered, see, you are good enough. You are attractive. We've all been there, and it can be debilitating. But here's the thing. She was trying to get that validation from the very people who never saw her clearly in the first place. People who couldn't hold space for her, let alone appreciate her value and worth. She kept handing her worth over, hoping someone else would confirm it. But they didn't, because they couldn't. And let's be honest, that was never their job. What she finally realized, and what you need to hear right now, is this. Rejection isn't proof that you're unlovable. It's proof that you're misaligned. You're not being pushed away. You're being redirected to where you actually belong, where you don't have to beg for the bare minimum, where you're met with presence, not confusion. Once she stopped trying to prove herself, she finally started choosing herself. Here's how we did it. We worked on a reframing ritual. I encourage you to try this yourself. Here's how we did it. Write down the rejection. So what happened, who, when, how it felt. Then name the wound. Was it abandonment, embarrassment, shame, hurt? And then flip the script. So complete the sentence. Because this didn't work out, I now have room for example, it could be anything from social connections to new hobby or even some self-care. Then anchor your truth. So repeat this out loud. I am not defined by what I walked away from. I'm not defined by my rejection. I am redirected towards what is truly mine. She started doing this with every rejection. And guess what? Her energy changed. She stopped begging to be seen and started standing in her own visibility. Your worth is not a group project. You don't need consensus. You need alignment with yourself. So here's your challenge of the week. Take a clarity inventory. Think about one connection, romantic, platonic, or professional, where the signals you're getting are quietly chipping away at your self-worth. I want you to be brutally honest with yourself about what's really happening, not the version you're hoping for. So ask yourself, are you holding on to potential that's never materializing? Are you bending, waiting, or excusing behavior that doesn't actually serve you? Now here's the powerful part. Identify one concrete way to reclaim your energy. Shift it, set a boundary, maybe speak your truth or simply stop waiting. When you do this, you're not just reaching, you're not reacting, you're choosing clarity over confusion, dignity over doubt, and ultimately, alignment over attachment to what isn't meant for you. Take a moment to feel that shift. That pause, that's where insight lives. That's where your aha moment happens. Because once you see the truth, you can move forward stronger, clearer, and fully in alignment with the direction you actually deserve. Here's an affirmation to anchor yourself in as you move through the days ahead. I am not for everyone, and that is my power, not my flaw. Again, I am not for everyone, and that is my power, not my flaw. Write that on your mirror, in your journal, on your heart. I am not for everyone, and that is my power, not my flaw. That's a wrap for this week's episode. If you're walking through a no right now, remember this. It's not a punishment, it's positioning. Every rejection, every door that closes is simply life-clearing space for something better, something more aligned with you, someone more aligned perhaps with who you truly are. The key is to stop looking back at what didn't choose you and start moving towards what will honor your worth. Take a moment this week to notice where you've been holding on to uncertainty and ask yourself, is it serving me or is it keeping me stuck? The answers you find there will guide your next steps and help you step into your power with clarity and confidence. Next week on Signals and Standards, we're diving deep into emotional intelligence, how you read signals, understand emotions, and use that awareness to level up every connection in your life. Trust me, you won't want to miss it. Keep your standards high, your energy focused, and your heart open, because you have to believe that the best is always yet to come. For daily inspiration and practical advice, find me on social media at Power Coach Suzie. Got questions or ideas for the show? Head to powercoachsuzie.com where you can connect with me, explore the blog, or learn more about what I do. This is Suzie signing off. Until next time, keep reading the signals and never, ever lower your standards.